here last night after Monday Night Raw. There was a few interesting details that emerged regarding Wrestlemania 41, and we're going to dive into the original card for that pay-per-view and actually compare and contrast it to what actually happened and what could have happened. There were also a lot of other things talked about, which last night after Monday Night Raw. A few interesting details that emerged regarding Wrestlemania 41, and we're going to dive into the original card for that pay-per-view and actually compare and contrast it to what actually happened and what could have happened. There were also a lot of other things talked about, which I feel like there's probably a bunch of fence because I don't like the Unreal stuff. I think it just butchers the business, but there's a lot of talking points coming out of it. I mean, The Rock wanted Kevin Owens to defeat Cody Rhodes for the belt after Cody Rhodes rejected the selling his soul at Elimination Chamber, and Jey Uso was never supposed to win the Royal Rumble. Chelsea Green was supposed to win hers. They debate at that, so we'll get into it. I think the biggest thing though here on this original card for WrestleMania 41 is that there's no Rock. So obviously this original card for Mania is all the way back in January. This isn't 2 weeks before WrestleMania, because that wouldn't make any sense. This is back in January, right? Prior to the Royal Rumble, The Rock is nowhere near it. So this just tells you all you need to know. The Rock was never going to appear at WrestleMania 41. He was never going to be in a match, at least. I mean, I guess he could have appeared, but there was no special guest referee, tag team match, host role, even though he wouldn't be hosting because we're going for the final boss. But let's go from the top to the bottom and see if it's better. So Cody Rhodes versus John Cena for the WWE title. Again, there is no change there. That simply is what happened. It was a Cody Rhodes versus Cena. Now, what you could say is, back in January, did they have any idea that they were going to turn John Cena heel? Probably not. The fact that we've seen them potentially discuss the fact that Kevin Owens would win the belt for Cody Rhodes tells you that they're not completely sold on Cena turning heel. And we also seen The Rock and Triple H kind of discussing in this documentary series. The Rock's like, I don't want it to be portrayed as Cena selling his soul, more as just a business deal between me and him. How can people not see that killing the business? I mean, the business is hanging on by, I don't think it's hanging on. I do believe it's dead, but, before we bury it any deeper, I think we get the shovels out and start digging. But Cody Rhodes versus Cena, no change there. Up next, we've got a big change because it's Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns. So Roman Reigns taking on the architect, Monday Night Rollins. No CM Punk, so this simply would have been a singles match. Would this have main evented night one? Or would it have simply have kicked off like night two or something? Time will tell, but we've lost CM Punk. Why have they lost CM Punk? Because Gunther would have been defending his world title against CM Punk, which tells me that Punk was going to win the Royal Rumble. Now, maybe Cena was going to win the Royal Rumble, but why I would have gave it to Punk over Cena is because Punk's never won the Rumble, and also with Cena winning the Chamber, we got there eventually in the end anyway. Now here, you could flip it where Cena won the Rumble and Punk won the Chamber. Either or, those three matches being the headliners, for me, would have been better than what we got, because Gunther versus Jey Uso's crap. I don't care what anybody says, that's not a main event worthy match. Punk defeating Gunther for a world title is a big match that suits WrestleMania. Gunther Jey feels like velocity, man. It is what it is. Rollins Reigns, don't really like either guy, but alright, decent enough match. And then Cody Rhodes Cena. If that's your three headline matches, I don't think many people can complain with that. But what they did was add Punk to the Rollins Reigns match, and to me it was just cringe, the amount of forced, slowed down storytelling. So all the people at home who are retarded, look, we're going to make him do his spot, wait 5 minutes, he does his spot, Paul Heyman's going to bring the chair into the ring, pay attention guys, I know you're all mentally retarded, you need to see us connecting the dots because you don't have the brain capacity to do it for yourself, so you need to watch us do it for you. Honestly, that triple threat match was crap. See, looking back at it, you can't see how dumbed down it is for this fucking audience. I don't know what to tell you. And then obviously because you move Punk to that, Gunther Jay's crap like we've already discussed. So yeah, I actually prefer this original card for the three headlining matches. Up next, Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair. So of course we've lost Io Sky here for the Women's World Title match. Again, what I would say with this is this match was the best match on WrestleMania 41, the Triple Threat Women's match. Would the match have been as good with Ripley and Belair? No, I don't think it would have been. I think Triple Threat had a nice dynamic to it, but what I will say is the feud was absolute crap between Belair, Ripley, and Io Sky. And I don't want to just put a lot of blame on Io Sky, but I will. I think the reason why her title reign has been so shit and why a lot of the back builds to her matches are shit is because she simply can't do promos. They're awful. And as much as I think the match would have been worse between Ripley and Belair, they surely would have done a better feud/build going into 41 if it was just those two. But then on the flip side, those two were in the Triple Threat feud anyway, and they still couldn't make it good. So, yeah, I'll actually say this is worse. I think the Triple Threat match was better. Nia Jax versus Jade Cargill for the WWE Women's title, of course. We ended up getting Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. So this is like the first match so far that is completely different, where like the two people actually who competed in it didn't compete in it. So Charlotte Tiffany was awful, and if Jade Cargill, does a massive slam to Nia Jax, the fat bastard, and pins her, that could have been a pretty decent moment, and Jade Cargill could have won the women's title. So again, that might have been the correct decision there. So I actually give this the green light. Up next, we got Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. This match didn't happen due to Owens' injury, and Joe Hendry took the place of Kevin Owens. That was a great moment. The match was fun. It would have been better than this match. It would have been boring, so I have no complaints there. But the Judgment Day versus the Wyatt Six. Well, nothing happened here on this front, on the actual show. So I don't think there's anything to complain about here. Judgment Day, WrestleMania match against the Wyatt Six are shite. This is good enough for me, damn it. Right, Becky Lynch and Charlotte versus Asuka and Io Sky. So of course what we got was Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria versus Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Is that better than this? I don't know, man. It's like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. It's just a bit shy. That's like a thumbs in the middle. My Batista thumbs down, got stuck in the middle. AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. That happened. Can't really say too much about that. Bad Bunny versus Dominic Mysterio. Dominic Mysterio had a fatal 4-way match in Mania. It was alright, I guess, but this would be no title on the line because obviously Dominic won the belt at Mania. I don't mind Bad Bunny, but him versus Dominic, I mean, it could have been alright, so maybe he gets the thumbs up. Braun Breaker versus Drew McIntyre with Stone Cold Steve Austin as the referee. This just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Nothing on the line, right? Austin's a referee for a Breaker McIntyre match. Like, I know Austin appeared, right, and he nearly ran someone over in the front row, which is kind of funny, right? But surely there is a better match to have Austin as referee for. Like, Austin referee in a fucking mid-card match. Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time. He refereed Cole and King, which I thought was pretty funny back at like 27. But why not put Austin as the special guest referee for Rollins and Reigns? Oh, but that's a Mania main event level match. We can't do that. Well, Austin deserves better than Breaker versus McIntyre. But as for Breaker McIntyre, I would have liked to have seen that match. That match would have been decent, but we didn't get it, and I think I'll actually give that the thumbs up. I think that would have been better than the fatal 4-ways they were both in, respectively. Rey Mysterio with Travis Scott, I believe, taking on Chad Gable. Rey Mysterio obviously got injured. Travis Scott sided with The Rock and Cena, so he wasn't going to team up with Rey. I don't really care for that, to be honest. No. Right. Up next, we've got the first of two ladder matches. So the IC title match and the US title match, both being contested in 6-man ladder matches. Let's go through the Raw one first for the IC title. Jey Uso versus Damian Priest versus Sami Zayn versus Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser versus Bronson Reed. Nakamura versus LA Knight versus Santos versus Jimmy Uso versus Andrade versus Solo Sikoa versus Carmelo Hayes. That's the US title. Back to the Raw one. Bronson Reed's penciled in here, right? Which just tells me that this had to be around. This original card had to be like around November time before he broke both his legs or something. Has to be sometime around then, or maybe they expected him back sooner. I don't know. So Jey Uso goes for a world title match, then IC title match. This match has Jey Uso winning the belt written all over it. Sami Zayn, and why I don't like this, right? It feels like they're just cramming 12 guys into 2 ladder matches. And honestly, I know they used to do TLC pay-per-views back in the day. Used to get a ladder match and then a TLC match and then tables, ladders and stairs match, whatever the fuck. I don't think it works when you do 2 of the same gimmick matches on a pay-per-view. Now, when you've got I think Lockdown was good. Every match being contested in a steel cage. Hell in a Cell concept didn't work for me. Breaking Point, every match being a submission, that was weird. But 2 ladder matches, obviously they would have did one on night 1 and one on night 2, and that breaks up a wee bit, but I wouldn't have been a fan of this personally. So yeah, there's just too many jobbers in there, too many guys just trying to get a seat, so to speak, a role at WrestleMania. Anyway, guys, that's it for the original WrestleMania 41 card. And like I said, there's evidence that this was done even back in November. So they've known for a long time that we weren't going to get the Rock. And obviously there was rumours that Austin was going to come out and attack the Rock, but then the Rock didn't bother his arse showing up during that main event. But obviously Cena wasn't heel at that point. But Austin, that's a weird one. Austin in with Braun Breaker against Drew McIntyre. Crap, but leave it down below. Do you prefer this Mania card or the one we got? To me, it wouldn't really make that much of a difference. I do believe, though, that taking Punk out the triple threat and putting him in against Gunther is best for business.